2, 3.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Idiomatic Top 3.
With Nicholas, I'm the VM correspondent for Idiomatic.
And I'm Dimitri, editor-in-chief of Idiomatic.com and movie critic. Now today's topic is one that you picked, Nick, so I'm going to let you explain it.
Well, we're going to discuss our top 3 moments where they over-explain the plot so much that it kind of makes you feel a little dumb. Because they just go too far with the explanation and you're like, yeah, I get this already. I'm not that dumb. You know, I got what you were doing 10 minutes ago.
Does it make you feel dumb or does it make you feel smart?
It depends. It's insulting that the producer, the movie producer, or the video game producer, whichever, thinks that you're that dumb that you need that amount of explanation for you to get it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. So that's right, we're doing top 3 moments clearly written for the slow kids in the class.
Well put. Yes.
Alright, so might as well get into the episode proper, as I always call it.
Yeah.
Our top 3 moments written for the slow kids in the class. Why don't you get us started, Nick?
My number 3 is from a series of game, the Borderlands series. You have Borderlands 1 and 2. Basically, you're a vault hunter and you're looking for a vault, trying to find treasure. The thing is, however, if I tell you that this vault is located on a planet called Pandora, you expect good things to be in that vault. I mean, they could have at least named the planet something different. Pandora is kind of on the nose there. It's like, yeah, okay, I'm opening a vault on Pandora. Really, I'm going to find some great stuff in there. And of course, it's a video game first-person shooter. You're opening a vault. You're going to have a final boss. So it's even more obvious. So I thought it was kind of disappointing that, they're trying to make it all the secret. It's like, what is this Pandora? It's like, what is this vault? What is it's going to be? Like, it's not a secret, guys. You kind of ruined it. You just by trying to, add this cool element of adding, make it in Pandora. So we add an extra layer of, well, people realize what it is. No, you just ruined it right there. It's kind of disappointing to me.
No, I see what you mean. Like, to a certain degree, you know how that happened. The storyline itself is not bad, but they went like, oh, well, we're going to call the planet something what's fitting. Oh, Pandora, that's symbolic of what's going to happen. It's like, yeah, but you're also spoiling it. That's silly.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be kind of like a Captain America comic where his new best friend is called Hitler von Backstab, and then he turns out to be a German spy.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, you're just ripping off, like, classic movies and you're putting them in. The way you're making it seem, it's so obvious now that you're removing the whole suspense out of it. It happens so often in video games. It's kind of disappointing. I mean, we're just pointing out the most recent example of that, but it's really like, no, I've seen this story before. You guys, you're not surprising anybody. Oh, really? The guy that's super nice to me it ends up being a traitor? I'm shocked. I'm really shocked. It's just stuff like that. They just...
In fairness, the fans really are receptive to it. It is a case of, yes, I agree that the writing's not as high as a lot of people will claim in video games. But there's a part of me that feels that, but maybe it doesn't need to be because I play a video game for the gameplay, for the immersive experience. I don't necessarily need the storytelling to be that subtle or engaging because I'm a character in it. I'm playing it and I want to... My button mashing... entertainment is more important than the stupid lines that they say. You know what I mean?
Now, it might be material for another podcast another time, but I feel that when the story is very much engaging and doesn't, it doesn't have those plot holes and those cliches that take me out of it, I'm even more engaged in the game. So I like these things. Whereas, when you keep harping me on what's the mystery of Pandora every like times I talk to a non-player character, I was like, what's happening? What's in this vault? Like, you know what's in this vault. Come on, stop it. And it's like, you want to skip those interactions with those characters, and it's like, oh, I'm just going to go back and shooting people. This story is completely nonsense now to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, you make a good point, and that's for any form of entertainment. When you're dangling a mystery that the person being dangled shit at has already figured out, it's really annoying.
Yes.
Exactly. I remember the movie Secret Window where it turns out that the killer is this person. And you'd never see it coming, except that I figured it out from the trailer.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And I was like sitting there going like, yeah, what else you got for me? What else you got for me? And it's a weird thing. It's not that I knew what the twist was that bothered me, because if they had built a complete story around the twist,
Yeah.
then it would have been fine. And it's a Johnny Depp is in the movie, and he's a great actor. I certainly should have been entertained by at least his performance, but they kept dangling it. So to link it back to what you're talking about with the game is as no matter how good the gameplay would be, if every time there's a cutscene they go like, "You're never gonna guess what's gonna happen next," you're never, it's just gonna ruin everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So long story short, don't make things too obvious. Terrible. It's really an example of, they'll never figure it out because who knows what Pandora is. No, come on.
Well, no, I really think that they'll never figure out what twists we're coming into, and then they made the mistake of calling it Pandora because somebody out there felt like putting a symbol there where, no, just like don't mark what the secret is on the lid,
Exactly. So what is your number 3?
My number 3, you went with something that's a passion of yours, video games.
Yeah.
I'm going to go into a genre that's also a passion of mine, horror movies.
Nice.
I'm going to go with Gore Verbinski's remake of The Ring, or Ringu in Japanese.
Okay.
His movie called The Ring, which was written by Aaron Kruger. And Aaron Kruger is the perfect writer for the topic of this episode. Because that dude, as a screenwriter, will over-explain the crap out of everything. He dots every I and crosses every T, which to a certain degree is a quality in a storyteller. It means the story is going to be consistent. And usually his stories more or less are. And when they're not, I suspect it's more to do with producer interference and directorial choices than his actual screenplays.
Yeah.
But they're also infuriating because he often writes in the horror genre, and the horror genre is the one genre where I don't need things to be explained.
Okay.
Like, for those of you who don't know, The Ring and the original Japanese movie, both about the same thing, is a ghost that is on a videotape, and when you watch the videotape, you get a phone call from the ghost, and the ghost goes, "Bah." And then,
how does the ghost call you?
Well, Aaron Kruger explains it. That's the problem.
Oh my god! Oh no!
And then you have 1 week to live.
Okay.
And the Japanese movie, for those of you who don't know, doesn't explain any of it. The sequel does, but the sequel's crap.
Yeah, I remember seeing the original. It is entertaining and scary because you didn't know what's happening because it was not spelled out for you, and I really enjoyed that.
Exactly. And this one, like I said, Aaron Kruger explains why she uses a phone, why she's on videotape. She used to have psychic powers when she was a kid, and she used to be taped a lot, so she has an affinity with Dave. And some, like every detail. Why exactly 7 days? What? And they're like,
oh my god!
It's like it was way cooler when she was doing it with her magical ghost powers.
Yes, exactly.
I don't actually need more because ghosts don't exist. So if ghosts have powers that I didn't expect them to have, I don't have to care because it's a ghost.
Ghosts don't act that way, Dimitri. That's wrong.
It drives me nuts throughout the entire movie, the amount of exposition for an audience that would go like, wait, how come a dead person can use a phone? What's their plan? Are they with Verizon? It's like, if you're asking that question, get out of the theater.
Yeah. Well, first of all, if you're asking that question, it's because the movie's not good enough, so you're bored.
That's true.
That could be one reason. Or you're really not in the spirit of the movie. It's horror. It's not going to be explained,
Yeah.
That's why, I remember, when did they explain how Freddy came to be in Nightmare on Elm Street?
They eventually explained it in Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare,
Yeah.
Part 6.
To me, it was just a guy that shows up in your dreams and kills you. I don't need to know where he comes from, and I don't need to know why he does it. He's scary enough killing you in your sleep without, oh, well, he does it because of that, and he did this, and he's that person. I don't really care. He kills me in my sleep, okay?
Yeah, and they went 5 movies resisting the temptation to explain it. And they only explained in the 6th one because it was supposed to be the final chapter. They were wrapping up everything.
Okay. I could see it that way. But it still kind of ruins it a little bit. I didn't need to see it. Didn't need to understand it. But yeah, okay. If it's the final one you're doing,
Well, it's like I have nothing to ruin because we're wrapping up everything anyway. Who cares? Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's
good
jump
point.
the shark, you know?
Good point. Good point.
By the way, Freddy's Dead, terrible movie. Don't watch it. The thing that kills me with The Ring is the one scene where every horror movie has it, where they solve the problem and then the movie goes on and then you realize, why is the movie going on? Oh crap, something more is going to happen.
Okay.
And in this one, freaking Aaron Kruger telegraphs it by having the little boy going like, okay, we solved it. We saved the little girl's corpse and blah, blah, blah. And he goes like, you didn't get her out of there, did you? And she's like, yeah, because I thought that's what we were supposed to do to stop the curse.
Yeah.
He goes like, oh, but she's an evil spirit. Now she's so evil, she's got to do more stuff. You're like, thank you for telegraphing the rest of the movie. Like, you just made the next 20 minutes of the movie completely ineffective because of that.
Yeah, because you're expecting it.
Yeah.
In the original Ring, you think, okay, they get her out of the well, and you think it's over. But it's not, and you're shocked at that because they think, oh, they solved it, you know, and they're pretty sure they solved it, and it's all good. But other things happen, and you're like, oh, well, I was not expecting that, and you know, they have to solve it a different way. But if you're telling me, hey, sit down, stay on your seat, you know, more stuff's gonna happen, you're like, well, okay, gee, thanks.
It kills me. That moment is like the worst moment. Especially if you were going to go that route and make the little boy exposition machine and use that at its full effect, you could have just deviated from the original movie and just ended with like, yeah, so we got the girl out of the well. We're awesome. The little boy goes like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. And then cut! Credits. And then you're like, what's going on? What the fuck?
Yeah. Yes, that would have been good, you know, and it's open for a sequel directly, right there. That would have been good. Yes, I agree. You know, an open ending like that would have been smart.
Oh, God. All right, moving on. What is your number 2 pick for moment written for the slow kids in the class?
It's a awesome scene in Return of the King, the movie of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. They finally saved the Minas Tirith, I think, the big fortress. They used their ghost army that came out of nowhere to save.
Well, in the movie version, it came out of nowhere.
Yeah. They're not in the book, and in the movie version, it's like, you know, oh really? You're using ghosts now? Okay, fine.
Well, the ghosts are in the book. They just don't do what they do in the movie.
Exactly, that's true. But then they have a plan, you know, to help Frodo destroy the ring. That they're gonna, the Aragorn and a bunch of characters describe it, you know, very well. You know, we're gonna, you know, mass our army and go knock at the door, and you know, so he's gonna empty his troops again. You know, they have this whole plan explained very well, and you're like, okay, that's what they're gonna do. And Legolas has to completely ruin it by just saying, you know, it's a diversion. And like, wow, thank you very much. I didn't get that from the 5-minute plan that you exposed beforehand.
We saw this movie together in the theaters.
Yeah.
And, well, you know me. You can confirm this. I am not somebody who passes comments during a movie usually. I respect silence in a movie. I try to get into the movie. I am always open to any movie, no matter how badly it starts or whatever. But when that moment happened, I was like, doy.
Yes. Yeah. And I think we were more people, and we were all laughing at that line. It was like, what is this line doing here? It has its place if you start a conversation with it, you know. Oh, we should do this diversion. Then you explain what you're going to do. But don't explain the whole plan. And we get what the plan is. Okay, you're going to amass your army to empty Mordor. And then it's a diversion. It's just like he just got it, you know. You know, everybody else in the room is cool with the plan. And all of a sudden he gets it. It's a diversion. You're like, oh my God.
It's like we were talking about moments written for the slow kids in the class. This is a line uttered by the slow kid in the class.
Yes.
You know?
And you can see in his face, he's so proud that he understands what's happening too. Like, you know, wow, I get what he's doing. It's like, yeah, everybody in the theater gets what he's doing. You know, everybody that heard him talk everywhere gets what he's doing. But, you know, seriously, it's like, I've never heard anything like that before, you know.
Oh, it's so bad. And you make a good point about it being okay if it had been at the beginning of the conversation.
Yeah.
It's sort of like Admiral Akbar. When he says it's a trap,
yeah,
he says it more or less at the beginning of the trap. So it's a memorable line. We think it's cool. If he had said it at the end of the space battle,
Yeah.
we might have resented him a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. They're just getting attacked, and he turns around with his chair. It's like, that's good, but if, you see a bunch of scenes and he says, oh man, we've fallen into a trap. It's like, no, we know that. We've seen you fight the Empire for the last 10 minutes. We know, seriously.
Yeah, no, I mean, digressing completely, but talking about the Admiral Akbar thing, it is a good example of it being well-timed, even though it is a line that's pretty much states what you already know.
Yeah.
Because it happens right at the moment where you're going, holy fuck, it's a trap. And like, as you're finishing the thought of it's a trap, he's turning around and going, it's a trap. So it's almost like he's sharing your surprise, and that's why it's cool. Yeah. He's not explaining to you. He's sharing the moment at the exact moment you're having it.
And also, he's telling it to, like, everybody, you can assume he has the communication open and he's telling it to everybody in the fleet, whereas everybody in the room pretty much understood what, because they were all participating in the conversation, so they all pretty much knew what Aragorn had planned.
Yeah.
Except for Legolas. All of a sudden, he's like, it's a diversion.
Yeah. And the big difference is that it really does come at least 30 to 45 seconds after you as an audience understood every detail of said diversion. Yeah. So when he says it's a diversion, he's not sharing your moment of understanding. He's just like, yeah, if you didn't get it, it's a diversion. Like you in the back with the popcorn and the cell phone. You weren't listening? It's a diversion. That's what we're doing.
Exactly. So enough harping on poor Legolas. What is your number 2 moment?
My number 2 pick, also in the horror genre. We talked about Nightmare on Elm Street a little bit. Yeah. I want to talk about Freddy vs. Jason.
Okay.
Which is the Monster Mash movie wherein Freddy fights Jason from the Friday the 13th series.
It's the matchup we always wanted to see.
It's the matchup I wanted to see, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I like the movie. Like, I'm not about to trash the movie. It is actually a really cool movie. I have a lot of affection for it. It's totally, like, if you're a fan of both franchises. If you're not, you're probably not going to appreciate it as much.
Okay.
But if you have any affection for those two 80s property, they did it justice. So, this is not me trashing the movie. This is me trashing the lead actress.
Oh, wow.
Katharine Isabelle was actually auditioning for that role, and she almost got it, and she lost it to McKenna because the director said that he wanted the soulful aspect of Katharine Isabelle's performance to be placed in another character. And it's like, really what he wanted is a more traditional beauty as the lead.
Okay.
And unfortunately, he chose somebody according to her looks instead of her ability to play the role.
I see.
And so she's really bad. So every line she spewed out was grating on me to begin with.
Okay.
But then, every time the Freddy scenes appear and he's on top, the screen is all red. He's in this dreamscape, it's all red, he's near boiler rooms, there's flames, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
And Jason, every time he has his scene, he's in Crystal Lake because he's a guy who kills people near a lake, and the scene is blue, and, he's near the water and all that. So already subconsciously, at the very least subconsciously, you're sort of making associations already. Red, fire, Freddy, blue, water, Jason.
Okay.
And then she goes, about maybe 5 minutes before the final act, wait a minute. Freddy died burnt alive. Fire. And Jason died drowned. Water. One is fire, and the other was water. And you're like, oh my god, somebody kill that woman.
Wow.
It's so bad, and it's said by an actress who I've seen in other roles. She's fine in other roles, but could not make this character work for the life of her.
Okay.
And it's just this really bad line said by this actress who's just not performing to an acceptable level, really. And to top it all off, already you're groaning. Then the other character goes yeah, and he was I don't know, maybe we can use it somehow.
Oh my god.
And Oh,
Yes.
your head's about to explode.
Go somewhere yellow, because then red and yellow makes orange, so he'll be confused.
The best part is that they never actually use it.
Oh, okay. Wow, so it's completely pointless.
It's totally a moment where, like, the writer had these themes going. It was like, he really wanted to make sure that people knew that he was a good enough writer to inject themes into his damn movie.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they're interesting themes. I don't want to take away from the themes. I think that's part of the richness of the movie. But, like, don't point it out this way!
Yeah. Yeah, if you point out directly, hey, this is a symbol, or look at this, it kind of ruins it completely. It has an effect of taking you out of the movie as well,
Yeah.
which is not good.
You know, I don't think it hit me the first time as much as it does now when I watch it on home video again. I'm like, oh god, oh, that actress hurts me. And then that line comes along every time, like I'm hiding in the couch going like, make the bad line stop, make the bad line stop.
That's what's good about having you can fast forward it, fast forward a few seconds and you don't have to hear her say that line.
No, I usually let it play and then hide my head under the covers. And then my girlfriend thinks like, oh wow, you're really affected by horror movies. And I'm like, no, I'm affected by really awful writing said by really awful actors.
Nice.
Alright, I guess this is a good time to move on to your top moment written for the slow kids in the class.
Well, it's taken from the Chronicles of Narnia, Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
That's the third one, right?
It's the third one. But before we get there, you have to, watch the first two movies, and you realize there's, heavy Christian themes in there.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, the kids are named Daughters of Eve and Sons of Adams, so you already, if you're already slow there, it basically starts out by pointing it out, it's going to be Christian. And then you have Aslan, who basically gives his life to save one of the kids, and he resurrects later on.
Yep.
So, I mean, if you're not seeing it there, there's something, you're probably not Christian, or
Yeah, admittedly, if you were born and raised in China, you might not get that.
Yeah, exactly. But it's really at the end of the third movie when Aslan just goes up on screen and he basically says, in your world, you know me by another name, basically telling everybody in the theater, hey, I'm Jesus in this world. It's just, you're like, really? You died? You sacrificed yourself? You were resurrected? You don't need to say this. It's completely pointless, I guess.
Yeah, and the things about Chronicles of Narnia is that not only are they heavily Christian themed, it is a survey of Christian history as told into a fairy tale. Okay. Like the second movie, for example, Prince Caspian.
Prince Caspian, yeah.
Is a retelling of the Crusades.
Yeah.
And Aslan is completely absent from that movie because what the writer is trying to tell you is that they had nothing to do with God, these wars.
Yeah.
Jesus wouldn't even have anything to do with that. You know what I mean? And of course, the metaphor is in fact so strained that while you watch the fantasy or read the book, you're going like, why is Aslan letting his people die? That's weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's weird. Yeah. But it's because the metaphor takes precedence in those books. So when you reach the third movie, not in the book, but the movie, and they decide it's like, yeah, we're not making enough money off of this to do the other books, so we're just going to go ahead and tell you what this series is about.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like, what? Doy?
Yeah, pretty much. It's really, I don't know. I'm really curious who didn't get that from the first movies. It's just in the second one. If you only saw the second one, you might not see it because the Crusade thing is kind of hard to see. But the first one, it's so obvious what they're doing that when he comes around and says, "Hey, by the way, I'm Jesus," you're like, yeah, okay, that's you're ending the movie on this. Surprise me with something else, please.
And it's such an awkward scene because it comes at the end of the movie. They're on the beach. There's a magical vortex that will take them back to their world. Yeah. And the movie won't freaking end. Like, it's like the adventure is over. So you go like, all right, like happily ever after credits roll. Let's go. And it's like, no. It's halts there. And Aslan's going to go like, no, I'm going to talk to you on the beach for the next 20 minutes while your kids are squirming on their theater seats. That's what we're going to do right now.
Well, it simulates the effects that church has on kids. So... No, come on. No kids like to be in church. I mean, it's painful.
It's because you have to be very disciplined. You have to sit there. No, it's hard.
Exactly. So it basically wants to simulate that. So what is your number one?
My number one pick is also at the end of a movie.
Nice.
It takes place at the end of Dark City, Alex Proyas's Dark City, starring Jennifer Connelly and Kiefer Sutherland.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know, it's actually a lovely science fiction movie about people living in sort of a film noir city that every night sort of changes shape.
Okay.
And they keep forgetting about that. And they live their lives, and sometimes people are recast in different roles every night and whatnot.
Interesting.
And there's this one dude who's starting to see beyond that, and that there's some sort of science fiction-y conspiracy going on there that relates to the nature of human nature.
Nice.
And it's actually a really good movie. Interesting movie with really deep and fascinating themes. But here's the thing. At the end of the movie,
Yeah.
there's a big, colossal psychic battle. It's pretty freaking awesome.
A psychic battle.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice.
With the big music, and then the good guys win, and the metaphor has come full circle, and there's just one moment missing, which is going to be pretty much the final shot of the movie. And he comes there, and then you need that transition to that final shot, which is well set up. I don't want to reveal it if you haven't seen the movie, but it's an interesting feeling because you know what the final shot is going to be, and you just want him to get to that point at this point. So he's walking to the down a tunnel to get to said point, and then the bad guy shows up again, defeated already,
Yeah.
but for some reason still alive. And then the good guy goes like, and the lesson of the movie was this, and that. You were looking for humanity here, but it was all along right over there. And then the bad guy just gets out of his way, and then he moves on to the finale of the movie. You're like, what the hell was that?
Well, it's important that you get all the information before you can get to the finale, or else, you're going to miss certain awesome elements of the finale, I guess.
It's not as dumb as the Freddy versus Jason moment. It's
Okay.
not as dumb as the over-explanations in The Ring. But it's so much more frustrating because it comes from a movie that's so much better than the other two movies.
Yeah, I can see that.
You're like, what the hell? And here's the interesting part. I finally got myself the director's cut of that movie.
Okay.
That scene is not in there.
Really?
Yeah.
So why did they add that scene, you think?
I think the producers showed it to test audiences, and the test audiences was like, I don't know what this movie is about. It was weird.
Of course, But, I mean, you've seen the movie.
Yeah.
So how obvious is it to see what the movie is about before you harp on the explanation?
I'm gonna preface this with in fairness.
Yeah.
In fairness, I am somebody who watches movies not for the visceral experience, but for the artistic communication. And I don't mean that in a highfalutin way. I just mean that I am more receptive to metaphors and symbols than I am about the visceral experience of the adventure, if you will.
Okay.
That's why I watch horror movies a lot, because yes, there's a lot of gross stuff happening, but I'm not affected by them because I tend to watch them on a second level.
Okay.
So for me to say, well, I got it right away, doesn't really mean anything because I'm looking for it, whereas another viewer might not.
Okay.
But yeah, I got it right away.
Nice. So, for you need somebody that you basically just summarize the visceral experience that you should live throughout the movie.
Bad guy shows up at the end. It was like getting shot in the gut really hurts.
Exactly.
God. An interesting thing about the director's cut is that the theatrical cut starts with a voiceover explaining the context of the movie.
Yeah.
Not distracting. It's not a bad voiceover at all by Kiefer Sutherland. Yeah, the director's cut doesn't have that. Expects you to sort of figure out how the world works as you watch the movie. So much more interesting that way.
Nice.
By the way, if you haven't seen the movie, by all means, please check out the director's cut, because the director's cut essentially trusts on cinematic language to carry you along the journey instead of giving you a tour guide, I really feel that that's the problem a lot of times. I think these moments exist because of producers who feel that the audience can't be trusted to understand things just with cinematic language.
Yeah. I guess in video games it's just that they try and stack too much and too much of it. It's like this is again. There's the big debate: is it art or not? Let's make it even more artsy by adding more, references to stuff like that. And then eventually it's like, well, you're basically, drawing a red arrow saying, the monster is here. It's ridiculous. So I guess it's overcompensating in the case of video games.
I can see that because again, there's this little inferiority complex that video games are currently going through because they're a new art form or new form of entertainment that may become art. I don't want to get into that debate today.
Yeah.
But that's going to lead to those sort of actions where it's like, I'm going to overpack this with symbolism and completely forget that there's actually a narrative experience that I'm supposed to be worried about.
Exactly. And then when you learn, hey, there was the monster in there, you're like, well, I know. Anyways.
On that note, I guess.
Yeah.
So, if you have any questions, comments you want to share with us why you think these moments appear in movies, video games, television, etc., Fred's dead.
It's about power, Dimitri. It's all about power.
Yeah, Joss Whedon does that a lot, unfortunately. It's like, oh no, the Whedon fans are going to blast us. You can write us at mail@idiomatic.com, even you Whedon fans. Or you can post the comments below the episode at idiomatic.com. We're also on Facebook. We're also on iTunes. We're also on Twitter. Actually, if you guys haven't yet, please like us on Facebook. It actually really helps us a lot and allows us to get the necessary support to provide content. So we'd really be grateful. See you next time.
See ya.